There was an exercise that we did back in the day when I was on your side. I was like a student going to events, learning from the mentors. And there was one property mentor that I had, a real estate mentor. And what they were talking about was they gave us this activity, just like we just had an activity there. They gave an activity. And that activity, they said, I would like you to go out there and raise finance. And then I was like, raise finance? I said, for what? They said, to be prepared. And I said, but prepared for what? They said, well, what is your goal? What do you want to achieve in this space? And I said, well, I want to build a property portfolio. They said, well, then you might need some money, so go raise some finance. And I said, but I haven't got a property deal right now. They said, you know, if you're prepared, the universe knows that you're prepared. The universe will be like, hey, now's the time to deliver. And then you can grab that opportunity. And do you know what? So I went there. Imagine, I'm calling up banks, asking about these credit card loans, personal loans, business loans. And they're saying, what's it for? I said, for future ventures. They say, but you need a business plan or something. I said, I don't know what the business is. This is so what are you taking a loan for? I said, I don't know. My mentor just told me I'm supposed to go and come and raise finance. They said, but how do you raise finance? I said, okay, so what can you do then? Then they said, well, we could do we do a credit check and give you a provisional. I said, okay, well, let me do that. At least I've got something to answer to my mentor. So my mentor said me, right? One day, I go back the next day and he says, okay, how much have you managed to raise? I said, well, I asked a few banks and based on my credit history and and whatnot, I'm able to get around 30 to 40K. They said, 30 to 40,000? That's your best. I said, well, yeah. They said, I won't believe you. They said, I'll give you 2 more weeks. Do your best, prove it. Prove that for 30, 40K was all that you can get. 2-3 weeks, I started learning about all these other loans and this and that and all the others and speaking to some, and my uncle, I remember I was speaking to as well. And I had this thing, I said, what I said to my mentor, I said to my mentor, I said, but the problem is they all keep asking me, what is the business plan? And I don't have anything, to show. They said, and what he said to me, he said, what if you speak as if you have one? What would it sound like? And I was like, okay. And this is very interesting because this now fits in, many years later, I believe, this fits in with law of assumption, no? How many of you follow what I'm saying? So now I'm like, okay, cool. So I go to my uncle and I'm like, uncle, there's this real estate deal. It's really, really amazing. I think you can potentially get your money back within the first year. And then, in a few years time, be able to triple your money. I was making this up, trying to figure it out. I said, if there was an opportunity like that, I was wondering if you would like to go in with me on this thing. He said, yeah, of course. He said, that's a really good deal. I said, okay, so how much would you be willing to invest? He said, how much do you need for the investment? I said, well, I was a bit lost. So I said, there's a few opportunities. I said, there's like $1 million opportunity. There's different real estate, you see. And then there's like a 500K one. And there's like about the 300K one. He said, well, you know what? Uncle hasn't got too much money, but we could go for the 300K one. I said, okay. And then I asked more banks and more people. I went back 2 weeks later, I went back to my mentor and he said, how much did you raise? I said, I raised £600,000. £600,000? He said, yeah. He said, what did you learn? I said, I learned that by being resourceful, there was more for me than I thought was available. And he says, what else did you learn? I said, that I can do it. And he says, I'll tell you what you learned, right? Now, at any given time, when you hear somebody speak about $1 million investment, guess what? You can be in straight away. You're in. Your mind's not going to take you out of the game. Why? Because you're prepared. Only God knows whether it's going to show up or not. But when it does, guess what? It's yours. You're claiming it.